Hello, and welcome to another critical conversation. This conversation, we're focusing on exploring how COVID-19 has impacted our education. We're talking to everyday people like you and I to see how education in their homes with their children and in their own lives have been impacted. I'm Wanda L. Scott. I'm an educational consultant and love all things education. So I'm so excited to be here to talk to these people to see what's going on. I'm here with my co-host, Deanne Marie.
Hello there, everyone. As Wanda said, I'm Deanne Marie. I am a mother and I am a principal at Cambridge Early Learning Center, which is here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm excited to hear and have conversations with other moms and educators and how everyone is faring during this pandemic. So I'm excited about these conversations.
Okay, well, Shundra, can you tell us about yourself?
I sure can. Hey, Wanda. I am a 25-year educator. I'm here in Houston, Texas, originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I am the mother of two. My son is 17 and a senior in high school. My daughter is a freshman at North Carolina A&T. I have worked in many fields of education from elementary all the way to high school. I currently am a consultant. I train and develop teachers and principals, and I provide tutorial services for schools here in Houston and the surrounding areas. So education is definitely a lifelong passion for me in the work that I do.
Well, sounds like we have a lot to look forward to and hearing from you about this COVID impact. So let's start. Tell me how 2020 went for you with COVID and your educational services.
Yeah, it was a slam to say the least. 2020 started off phenomenally for my business. We had more contracts in 2020 than we had had in previous years. So January and February, I employed about 43 people. I was doing a lot of consulting work myself. March the 12th, to be exact, got the news that there was a pandemic, that things were going to be changing, that schools would be shut down. At the time, my kids were on spring break. All of my consultants were mostly on spring break. And so from that point forward, my kids never went back to school and my contractors, consultants never went back to work. So my business came to a complete halt as of the middle of March.
Wow. So tell me about the impact to your kids where they were in school and how that looked into the school year.
Yeah, as a mother, it was a very trying time. We had just on spring break went to Austin, Texas. My son was running in a track meet, and so we had went there to celebrate with him a great run. We also had just found, after months and months of searching, a prom dress for my daughter. So we had bought a prom dress, was going to have the dress sent after the alterations have been made. Lo and behold, my daughter did not get a senior prom. She did not get a graduation with all of the family coming to Texas, which I was so looking forward to. My son finished his junior year, wrapping up his track season very early, which was also a blow because that's the year with competitive sports where coaches are really looking at students for college. And so he didn't have that opportunity. So I didn't get to get prom pictures for my daughter. I didn't get to get a formal graduation. Yeah, so it was a lot that happened for my family during that time. And then I look at this year, 2021, and my son's a senior. I probably won't have prom pictures for him, and more than likely won't have a traditional graduation at all. The one good thing that did come out, as a family, we made the decision that my daughter would still attend North Carolina A&T. So in August, the family packed up and we took her to North Carolina with a lot of anxiousness, a lot of prayer, and we decided that that was going to be the best for her. We are very excited and still excited about the decision and support the decision that we made. She was there all of August, September, October, and November, and she safely came back home to us in December, which she's still here. She'll leave on January the 22nd. So we took that chance. We allowed her to go to college during that time. She did get COVID, and of course that was a difficult time for the family, especially me as a mom, not being able to be there with her, but she was supported and she made it through, and she had a phenomenal semester. I must brag as a mom. She got a 4.0 as her first year in college, so I'm very excited. My son, now a senior, moving into his second semester of senior year. I just filled out the paperwork yesterday, signing off that his name is correct for his diploma, and we are moving forward, but it's definitely been a trying time.
Wow, that is so exciting to hear, Shundra. I was just, it's getting me excited. I too have a senior that will be graduating this year. And, one thing I heard you say is, the things as a mom, what we've missed out on, right? Because we've had proms, we've had graduations, those things are important to us. But what I do know, and I tell my own families and things and my teachers, that children are so resilient that they tend to not focus on those things as much, where I'm looking forward to getting the prom dress and I'm looking forward to watching her do those things. She's not even interested. At this point, she's like, Mom, I'm literally 4 months away from graduation, bring it. And so, do you feel like the children are just kind of moving forward, that most of the, I guess, the heartbreak and the sadness is more for you as a mom? Or do you feel like they're kind of like, man, I didn't really have a graduation like everybody else, or I kind of didn't do that? What are you feeling like their feelings are towards where we are?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I did speak in terms of what it felt like for me. Like you said, children are resilient. Anaya, my freshman now at North Carolina A&T, she was like, Mom, it's okay. We have the dress. We still have the memories of shopping together. We got it. It doesn't matter. It would have just been a big party anyways. As far as graduation, we were still able to do a family Zoom and still celebrate it. And so she was excited with that. She was so looking forward to going to college that I think she was kind of over high school anyways. And so she was fine. One thing I tried to make sure that we did was talk about it. Like, let's talk about how you really are feeling, though, because those are monumental moments, especially in a young lady's life. And so we talked about it, and she was fine, and she living her best life at college. So I think high school is over, said and done with. As far as with my son, he's a different breed. He's like, it is what it is, whatever, Mom, and so I think he's okay if the prom doesn't happen, if the formal graduation doesn't happen. He wants to run. So if we can get him in a good college and he can run, I think he'll feel fine. I do the same with him, try to make sure I'm tapping into the emotions, and it's like, really, Mom? And so, yeah, they're okay. And I'll get past, I have the small thoughts of when I look around the room and I see pictures, it's like, 10 years from now, I'm not going to have any prom pictures. I have graduation pictures because they still took their cap and gown, but yeah. And I say to myself, get over it, Shundra. You had them, and so it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so tell me what it's been like with Austin and doing his schooling from home, or what's going on in Houston as far as that.
Yeah, so for the end of the second semester, which would have been the spring semester of 2020, he did complete school from home. Well, they both did. They were both home at that time. And I had finished her senior year virtually. Austin finished his junior year virtually. Austin started senior year virtually, and then a month in, we switched to going in person. And so we geared up, and we got ready, because I was still like, I'm not sure about this. I don't want you out amongst people. But the school did a really good job. The school did an excellent job of keeping us informed, of keeping social distancing. Probably 50% of the kids went back, so the classrooms were a lot smaller. He says, and the largest class he had, there was 12, 13 people in it. So social distancing was taken care of. He fared well. He was able to still do his cross country for the fall semester. He did very well. We had no issues. And then as far as going to school, everything was great. We almost made it through 2020 and everything was great. But as chance would have it, New Year's Eve, Austin wasn't feeling too well. I said, you know what, we're getting ready to go back to school. Let's go get checked out just to be sure. Lo and behold, mother's intuition, Austin had COVID. And he wasn't even in school yet. And so I say that to say, we have no control over the things that are going to happen. We were safe. We PPE'd it up. We did the mask. We did all things that we thought was necessary to do, and it happened. Tomorrow, we as a family will get off quarantine. We've talked with the nurse. We've talked with the assistant principal. Austin will go back to school in person on Monday. He's looking forward to that. I get it. It's his senior year, it's track season, he wants to be there. He knows the precautions that he has to take to be safe. And as a mom in the background, just trying to make things happen, I'm just gonna be prayed up and, support him and move forward.
Well, you are speaking very calmly, Shundra Cannon, about that's a lot. And with both your children having had COVID and the impact to your business, talk to me about what have you done to maintain your peace? Because you sound very calm and peaceful as you're telling us what has happened. What have you done to maintain with your business going down and your children? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I've done several things. I've prayed a lot. I've trusted. I've done a lot of self-care. I do a lot of audio listening. I do a lot of practice on mindfulness, just getting within myself and understanding those feelings that I'm having and accepting them. They're real. The fear of my daughter having COVID and she was away from home, that was a real feeling. And so I had to deal with that. I speak things, I share, I talk to other people. I don't keep it a secret. These are things that are happening all around us to real everyday people, and they're impacting our lives. As far as with the business, my husband and I, of 22 years, we've had a plan. We've saved very well, and we've been taken care of. I can honestly say financially, things continue to move forward. Now we look into 2021 and we're figuring some things out. What is that going to look like? What is that going to mean for us? What might we have to do differently so that we can sustain the life that we have? We've set some lofty, big goals for our kids. They are why we do what we do, because we want to create generational wealth and for them to have an opportunity. And so we are both willing to do whatever it takes. And so there is a calmness, Wanda, that comes with this. It hasn't been easy. There have been some days where there's been some tears. There's been some days where there's been some anger. There's been the days of what's really happening and what's really going to happen. But the thing is, I accept all of those days. And so, but I've decided that those days won't outweigh the days of me being okay, because I am okay. Both of my kids are safe. Both of my kids are healthy. So is my husband. So is myself. So with that, why should I allow the current situation, the state of the world that we're living in, get the best of me? And for those people that are listening and you're wondering, like, how do you get to that place? You keep living. You keep living and you take each day as it comes. And on those days when things aren't so good, you figure out how to make them better. And so that's just kind of where I'm at in this this space right now. And Wanda, when we first started, you saw on my tag, it said empathy trainer. And so that's one of the things I've done throughout this time as well. I've been training others in education, teachers and principals on how do you bring empathy to other people, but how do you be genuine to yourself? Because we can't keep this pouring out. We can't just keep giving to others if we're not going to fuel and build ourselves up. And so that's helped too. When you take the focus off of your situation and you reach out and you help others, it just makes a difference. But you can't leave that key ingredient out. You've got to take that time for yourself. So.
Wow, your whole demeanor is my sermon for Sunday. I should just put a picture of you up while the teaching is going forth. I literally am teaching, preaching, however you want to say it, but Sunday, literally what you were just speaking on and how you were speaking is the message that's going across Sunday, that we're talking about mind over matter. And when you say, meditating, that's the message that will be going out, is about being calm, because we can't, a lot of times there may be things that are out of our control, but the one thing that we do control is how we respond to the things the situation that we're placed in. So I appreciate hearing your perspective on that. And yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. I've started journaling more. I've started to be more intentional. And one of the things that I'm doing in my, it's called a daily mindfulness journal. I start every day off and I do what's called the Trinity. And I brag about one thing that was positive for myself the day before. I discuss a desire or a pleasure that I have, because I think is really important for us to find pleasure regardless. I can't leave the house, but I can find something that I enjoy. I laugh at something, I create something. And then thirdly, I look at a goal. What is a goal that I have for the week, and what can I do for today to help me to move towards that goal? And by doing that every day, I've found that it really helps me to just get grounded and get focused. And so I do it with a group of women every morning. It's just 15 minutes. It's 4 of us and we share it. And it's just beneficial. It helps you not to focus on what's not right. Because when you've got to find something to brag about and someone is holding you accountable to it, you're like, you know what, I've got to get this right. And then something that brings you pleasure, it's like, that's not something I ever focused on. I like to be happy. I like to have pleasures, but to really be intentional about it, because during these times where, you can't just go, you can't just do, you can't go to the mall to buy that dress that just makes you feel good because you look good in it. It's just like, okay, how do you find other ways to find pleasure? So I find myself dancing around the house for no reason, or just laughing at something that is like, I wouldn't have taken the time to laugh at before, but I'm really learning to appreciate just the simple things of life, of just being. 2020, I went through a lot, financially, personally, with the family, other family members experiencing COVID, deaths. That's a difficult thing. One of the closest people to me passed last October. And it was just different. Even though I went, the first thing you want to do when you see family is you want to embrace them. But it's like, oh, you see this mask and it's just like, oh, you shouldn't get close. And so all the things that are happening to us, they're real. And I don't want anybody to listen and say, oh, but you can just have it together. It doesn't take away the realness of the things that are still happening. So I hope that has come across clear, in my conversation. The realness still exists. So it's just how you choose to deal with it.
Yes, and don't apologize for that peace that you have. That's a beautiful thing, and it sounds like from all of the things that you presented to us, that's something you work hard for, your peace, through prayer and knowing where your grace comes from. And my closing question is typically, what are you bringing from 2020 into 2021? And you've given us so much already, but I do want to leave some room right here. If there is something additional you want to say in closing, please feel free.
Yeah, I think I have shared a lot. I mean, 2020 was a year. It was a year of lots of roller coasters, lots of ups and downs. But I am going to bring from 2020 some of the simplicity. It made me sit still. It made me reevaluate what was important. I love people. I love gatherings. I love, just being around people and not having that. It took a part of who I was, but it also made me spend the time that I needed to appreciate those things. To remember all the family gatherings, to remember all the times that we had together. And it also made me realize that it's not impossible to still connect with the people that you love. We have the Zoom, we have other opportunities. And I'm just going into 2021 with peace. I read a quote, and I think I've shared it with you, Wanda, but it says that, if you choose to be depressed, you're worrying about the past. If you're anxious, you're worried about the future. But if you're at peace, you're living in the present. And so I'm just choosing to live in the present right now. I'm not worried about the past. I can't worry about what's going to happen in the future. I don't have control over it anyways. But I can be in the present. And so that peace that you just spoke of, Wanda, it's been a journey to get there. But my goal is to continue to keep it. So I appreciate the opportunity to just share with you today and for you to even think about me to be a part of this.
Wonderful. And I do have to throw this in there. She's my best friend since we were 12 years old. So I had to throw that into the interview. It's my interview. I can say that if I want. So I just want to say thank you so much once again to Deanne Myrie for being my co-host on another critical conversation. I want to say thank you to those who are joining us on YouTube, wherever you're watching this interview. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let others know about the Critical Conversation series, exploring how COVID has impacted education. Thank you for joining us.